What's up, guys? Today's video is basically just going through everything that I've done to my build to the tractor here, and sort of things that I can kind of help other guys with for just starting out their build, and kind of some things I've picked up, I guess, along the way too, as this is a learning process, and these tractors aren't designed to be doing the things we do to them. So this video is basically just going to be me kind of just showing you guys, like I said, what I've done, what I've learned, what I've come across, and some riding, because first video you guys I didn't even start it up for you guys, so how do you guys even know if it runs, right? So we're gonna get into this right now. We're gonna start from the back, from the transaxle all the way to the engine, and after that we'll go get some riding and show you guys how this thing works for me and whatnot. And yeah, so let's stop with the talking and let's get right into this. So as you guys can see, and I kind of wish, this is where I said in the last video there, where I wish I kind of started taping more of the process, as much as it was just painting. It's still something I could have gotten as content, but I had you can't really see it on camera, which I guess is a good thing, but you sort of can. I had a bunch of runoffs because of the way I had the hood propped up to paint it, because I was using spray cans, and I kind of just had a bunch of runs. So I took a knife, scraped the runs off, and then I kind of just tried to go lightly along the edges so it didn't look like I did that. But eventually, now it's just going to have to be a whole redo. Thank God this is just like a test. I bought the cheapest paint I could find and kind of just went with it, and just to see if this was something I want to go with, and I enjoy it. I like it. I'm not gonna lie, as the years of me painting, and also I'm not gonna lie, that's another thing I'm learning too. I used to work in paint booths and stuff like that, but in high school was one of my main courses I was taking. But that's the only place I kind of messed up a little bit, but other than that, whatever. Paint job came out decently nice on the back half of the body here. Hood could redo, front, whatever. Some scratches there because the hood's a little bent out, but it is a off-road tractor, and it's eventually going to look worse than this, but then we'll just repaint it when we come time. But let's start off with the rear end here and what I've done and what I'm actually going to be doing here. So let's start off with the brakes here. This is a hydraulic setup, or not hydraulic, why do I keep saying that? Some tape there. This is a cable setup here. Eventually it is going to get changed into hydraulic, and I'm going to do some mounts. I actually yeah, well, we'll take a look here. As you can see what I mean, the brake isn't fully on the rotor here, so basically what I'm going to do is delete this all in general, and then run it off the output shafts, one of the output shafts on the transaxle. You could buy parts to do that from Princess Auto. Basically, you just have your brake caliper, rotor there, off the axle, and you get some spacers, whatever. And then you can also do there's 4-lug and 5-lug. I don't know the dimensions or whatever, but I know it's a 4-lug and a 5-lug pattern, and you can get those from Princess Auto. I believe I have a 4 or 5 inch pulley in the rear. I am probably going to keep the rear pulley the way it is. It works for what I need it to do, so might as well. And I don't mind the gearing I have, so I might just leave the pulley set up the way it is. For my shift linkage, I am going to switch to Heim joints, but for the meantime, this is working really well. I've had no problems with this. Sixth gear, you really gotta slam it into there, but she'll go into sixth. For my mounting, the mounting's not done, but for right now, this bar here is doing what it needs to do, and then I have the mounts on the rear like every other lawnmower. And I think that's pretty much it for the rear setup. It's nothing really fancy. I got my 8Ts on the rear here. That one I believe needs to be tubed because she has a lot of cracks in the sidewall, but there's a lot of tread left, and as long as she doesn't blow out on me, then still a good tire. And that's pretty much it for the transmission seat. What I did is I took, because the battery is no longer here, so I basically just took up the hinge mount for the seat, and it's basically just sitting on the body here with the springs, and then I got a bolt going through, or yeah, bolt with a nut here, and then these longer threaded nuts, whatever we call them, and then the springs here just add tension, keep her tight, because this is the thread only goes up to like, yeah, there's not much thread to work with here, so, and I needed something long, so I kind of just stuck with this, and it works. It keeps space, and it keeps things tight. So yeah, that is pretty much it for the seat. For here, I have my toolbox. Basically, I have what have I got in here? Actually, I'm curious. Got some zip ties, $1 for washing. I actually will show you guys what this is for. I know it's a thinner chain, but I'll show you what she's for when it's closer to the end. Yeah, so that is basically the seated area of the tractor here. Nothing really special, but yeah, oh yeah, let's fish. And then basically I got tools and pull it open. Stuff in there. And yeah, that's pretty much it for the rear section of the tractor. Now we will go into, I guess, the steering and area and battery setup. So eventually the battery is going to get relocated to underneath the hood, and what I want to do is basically when I go to cut open here to set the seat lower in, basically I'm going to have a fill net come out the rear like the older generation Craftsman tractors, and the seat is going to have a mount on the top of the gas, or there's going to be mounts on top of the gas tank for the seat. I have an idea. I also want an older style metal bucket seat type for here, but we're done there. And so basically, yeah, the battery is going to go mounted back up there. I'm going to weld up the holes, grind them, and eventually this is going to get repainted. I'm going to keep the red because I do love the red and black. But for that, it's just basically I cut the stock battery holder that was underneath the seat so it would kind of fit in here, and then I just have this bungee cord here to basically stop it from going back and forth, and then this is continued version of the shift linkage. This is the old original shift linkage that I just cut and shortened. I kind of actually do wish I kept it longer. I would have had more play. It would have been easier to shift if I had that extra leverage. But and then basically just folded the rod and have a washer here to keep it from spreading and keep everything tight and there. And I know that's not the prettiest, but eventually I will figure out something to make that, or figure something out. Might cut it out more, or weld in these half cuts or whatever. Make it look a little bit nicer than what it is. But yeah, that is the shift linkage, and then I have a hole here just so it fits the other bolt and kind of looks a little bit nicer. And then we go up here. This is obviously the stock volt gauge. I am going to change that one out, but it works. Sometimes it doesn't, sometimes it doesn't, or does. Eventually this is going to get a whole panel piece over top of it, and then I'll cut out for, actually I might not even do that. This side here, I'm probably just going to add a piece here, and then the gauges will run along down here, and then switches will be on this side with the voltage gauge. I'm probably actually going to keep that style there, because the only thing that's going to go here is, and you can do it, you can add tacks, like a rev limiter or revometer, whatever. There's a lot of names for it, but the whole tack setup with the oil pressure and whatnot, and temperature and stuff. And then voltage will be on this side on the top still, and lights. I'm probably going to keep this here and actually just figure out sequential light system there, or sequential switch system. And yeah, that'll be basically the dash area, and then eventually I am going to shorten this, or see what I can do there. I know I can shorten it and do something there. I have the tools at the shop to do it, so if they're there I might as well use them if I'm allowed. So and then we'll, yes, I think that is it covered for this area here. The clutch is a separate setup, and we'll do that when we get to the bottom half. But let's get into the piece de resistance, the motivation for the action. Alright, so like I sort of said in the beginning, or the introduction video, this is a stock Briggs V-twin, Vanguard V-twin 16 horsepower. If I actually say 18 horsepower, it is a 16 horsepower Briggs & Stratton V-twin. So, like I said, stock, really nothing done here. Eventually, I do want to rebuild it and, you know, do some fancy stuff with it. But it serves the purpose, does what it needs to do. Nothing wrong with it yet. I did check it out, and there is no more oil leaks unless the bottom end bearing is going, which I am continuously checking the pulley, or the drive pulley. But yeah, this is our late 80s, I think it's 87 Briggs stock fuel tank. I do want a bigger one because, you know, you don't want to be filling up every 2-3 hours. But yes, this is pretty much it. And then I sort of, and this is the exhaust actually, we'll get into that before we continue. Basically I just went to a Canadian Tire and found the pieces. I literally sat in the aisle for like an hour. My girlfriend was in the car texting me like, what are you doing? She's like, I'm just matching pieces together. This was all by coincidence. Like, I didn't think any of this was actually going to work, and I was going to have to trim a lot of it. I did have to trim this piece here, but eventually she fit. This is the only part that is puttied, or exhaust puttied. Eventually I'm going to clean it up, and that is all going to get welded. This is all the exhaust is going to get welded when it comes time to reinforcing the frame. But yes, basically 90, 90, and then she comes straight down. Right in this 90 here, I did bend the pipe in a bit. You can't really see it like sort of can from the top. It is smaller, but then it is dimpled on the side here. And then go down, we got this piece here. This was just a tighter fit, so we kept that, and I kept this on because it was just supposed when I was bending it to not on here, but when I was bending it, I just wanted to have it everything stay tight together. So when I was bending that, this stayed tight. Yeah, that was good. And we go down here. Focus, sorry, hands going the way there. And then she comes down, here's the 90, or not even a 90, like a 30, and it comes to this piece here, which is an expands, and then this acts as another restrictor, because she does not have a muffler on there, and I don't want it to be stupidly loud till I figure out the exhaust system. I like the side out, but we might figure out a way to have it come out the rear. Don't know yet. I do like the side chute though. But yes, that is everything. Well, actually not yet. Exhaust is, or not exhaust, the electrical is still simple. If you I will, as much as I'm not a wiring guy, I will probably do a video on how to wire these things up. After doing it a couple times, I sort of kind of got it, and it is kind of simple as long as you know positive, negatives, and grounds, and understand that your coils or your engine needs to be grounded, and so does your battery. So as long as you get that stuff covered, it's pretty simple. But I will actually do a video on how to wire up a mower to your keyed ignition. Yes, that is basically it for the engine bay area. Take a look around. Yes, throttle. Let's take a look at that before we continue. Yeah. But anyways, this is my throttle setup. If you saw in the last video, this was zip tied, but now I kind of just metal tie wired it, and as long as I don't mess with it too much, she is tight and adjustable. But yeah, that's throttle. Goes down. I need to try and figure out a way I can tie this up where it's not going to be at like a stupid bend and kink or something. But then she just runs basically to the governor. Well, she runs to the governor arm and all that. Eventually, when I do tear on this engine, I will do the governor delete and whatever, but for now, she is fast enough. Actually, I should have took a screenshot of it at least, but I did get her to go 50k in 6 gear, 50 flat, so that's pretty good. That is it for the engine bay area. There's no lights yet. Lights will be a separate video. I'm still figuring out lights. I'm trying to find lights level 1 fit. I don't want to do too much with messing with the hood, because I do love the original style and I want to keep it as much as possible. For anyone that knows, I unfortunately threw them out, but the original lights on these things are basically just a negative feed with the ground, or yes, I think that's a negative feed light. I don't know how to explain them. Like I said, I'm not an electrician, but basically just ran off a negative and then was grounded to the frame, I believe, or it was a positive. It was just one wire. I think I still have the harness. Yeah, I think I still have everything in here. But yeah, this is the mounting, and that's, like I said, the first video here. Oh, it's a little bent up there, but we'll fix it. Basically, I want to keep the stock mount set up, and then we got the wire here, which it was run off by the looks of it, because there was no other connection. It was basically this to the other light, and then grounded I didn't have a positive connection to the light, so to be honest, I know how they were actually set up, but that was that. They were just the old style wire. Ooh, not that white, I swear. But yeah, they were very old, so we want to go something newer and something that'll actually fit. But that is it. Literally, that is it for the engine bay. There's nothing much done, as I'm still figuring out how I want to do certain things. But yeah, let's get into the steering and the bottom end now. Alright, so basically there's nothing really fancy or whatever for the drive system here. To be honest with you, I totally forget the size pulley. I know I can measure it, but which I will, and I'll get back to you guys on that. But basically everything is still stock. I did have to cut some of the clutch linkage here for this size pulley to fit. And we had to do some self clearing, but basically it literally fits in there. And I'll be completely honest with you, this is where I might need to actually get a smaller well, I know I need to eventually get a smaller pulley here and a smaller belt, because under tension this is all good, and then basically I can go here with the clutch and still have enough basically it'll disengage the clutch here, and I don't have to really worry about no hitting here or the belt falling off. If I do engage the clutch all the way and say I engage it or disengage it too fast, then I run the chance of pulling the bullet or the belt off. But as long as I keep the clutch at a certain space or a certain area, then I'm good. I won't lose the belt. There's nothing really for the front end and the steering. I added a couple spacers here, and then I reinforced here with a sleeve because I snapped it, and then just welded up, finished the welds here that the other guy kind of messed up on. It was horrible. Yeah, basically there's nothing really much. It's stock. I know I need to make it better, because honestly hind joints are the way to go if you want to get rid of the slop and the play. Like, I've done as best as I could so far. I know I could do a bit better, but it's just not worth it if I'm just going to try and, or if I am going to switch to hind joints. So there's really no point in running the money up, and basically if you know you're going to switch it up. But basically I am going to be switching or redoing the front end to hind joints, and then reinforcing this front axle here, and and get rid of this setup here. And then yeah, it works. Honestly, if you want to do it in a pinch and you want to be quick with it, then you don't have the resources or the material to do the reinforcement of the front axle, then honestly just cutting or drilling your hole and trying to line it up as best as possible is the easiest thing to do, to be honest. But you do run the chances of the hole basically spreading and then it getting loose. But as long as everything's tight and whatever, then you're good to go. And eventually I will do the whole reinforcement thing, but I got my lift and she looks good. So, and I do check it every so often to make sure there is no messing around. We do not want problems, right? But that is pretty much it for the bottom end of the tractor here. Clutch system, yeah, I think that's everything. Alright, so basically for the plan of the future for this project, obviously it's not done. It is a long way from done. There's some paneling that still needs to be made, the reinforcement of the frame, lights, rock lights, stuff like that, front bumper, reinforcements of the overall steering, and some other little bits and pieces that I want to add and do, just to put my own spin on it. Like I said, it is a project. Projects, if usually your projects never finish. A guy always has something they want to do, something they want to change, something they want to make better, and to be completely honest with you, this is one of those projects. There's a lot of things I want to do, like I said, with the changing of the seat position to the reinforcements of the steering set, the whole steering setup. I haven't really talked much about the reinforcements of the frame, because to be honest, when I get it to the shop, I'm stripping everything down and basically getting a 110% good look on what I want to do and some weak spots. But overall, these Craftsman, or the early Craftsman frames, they've been known to be pretty durable already. So let's hope that I have a good one. And not much for reinforcements will have to be done, but yeah, paneling, I know I need to cover up where the old shifter used to be, and then the dash there. I'm still thinking of a idea for my front bumper. I don't want to do like a bull bar style. I want it to look cool per se, but kind of serve the purpose of mounts for, or a mount place for a winch, stuff like that. Also, before I forget and move on, I kind of want to show you guys what that chain is used for, and I very highly recommend this, especially because a lot of guys have pull ropes and stuff like that, or chains, hooks. So basically, I will show you guys what that chain I have in my toolbox is for. But yeah, to be honest, I can't think of off the top. I have a list of everything that I've sat down for like 2 hours, 3 hours, just thinking of what I want to do to this thing, and I basically just go off that list one by one and pick it out piece by piece. Next video, honestly, is going to be lights. The next thing I want to do on this thing is lights, so those definitely need to get done. And then the project is pretty much at a point where I feel more comfortable driving it, like all aspects. I've done my durability tests. I've trying to make this thing reliable. I don't want, if I'm going to spend a whole day riding this thing, I don't want to have to be fixing it like 12 times a day, right? So it's kind of just also taking it slow and learning because you don't know the weak spots. Like, you might have an section of your mower that just is a little weaker. You never know. So it's just working and overcoming and whatnot. I just want to take my time to make sure I get it right and it's something reliable, right? Yeah, let's get into, sorry for the rambling there. Let's get into the chain. Alright, sorry, but you guys can't really see it because of the glare, but usually most frames have like these 3 holes here. And to be honest, you can't really fit a hook in there, right? Unless you loop it through and whatever, but then you risk like pulling and bending, whatever. Like, if it's strong enough and you've done your reinforcements, then you don't really have to worry about pulling and bending and stuff. Oh dang, stuff like that. But basically, what this chain is for, and basically I want something that is weaker than the frame. So to be honest, I'd rather this snap instead of doing damage to the tractor, as bad as that is to say. But anyways, this chain is basically, not basically, I have everything kind of centered, so if I take this part of the chain off, it's going to be or folded in half, you know, everything's folded properly. It's the easiest way to do that is if everything's folded and you don't have to, you can be quick with it. Basically, take one end off, take the other end off. Keep this, basically what I do is I will just put the bolt on, to be honest, so I don't lose it. Sorry, it's taking a lot longer than I expected. And then fold the one chain, piece of the chain in, part of the chain in, da da da. Basically, pull it till it's kind of leveled with the other one. Take the nut off. Slide the piece. Take the nut off. Slide the other chain in there. Slide the other in there. You don't have to tighten it all the way, but you know, tighten it good enough that it's not going to back off. And the reason why I don't have this on there is because I don't want to hear this the entire time, and I want to get caught. Basically, it's a double chain, so basically should have enough strength to, it's pulled me out. I haven't had it in a position, and this is when I had the original, you know, turf savers on there. So you should get stuck pretty easily, especially with the hydro track transaxle, but this will basically allow a guy to either fold the strap through, or you know, hook your chain on and you have something to pull from instead of nowhere really on the frame. But yeah, that is my tip and trick to basically get you out of a tricky situation. No problem. It's basically just, in all honesty, just something to reduce damage to your tractor. And you don't need a big chain. Like the sign, this she'll do for this. Alright, so I'm not gonna lie, this video is kind of getting a little long. That's my fault. The guy likes to tell stories, but I also realized that I have no... Let's show you guys the fact this thing runs. So, unfortunately, I need a new ring gear on my flywheel because I don't even want to know. The guy I bought it off of had a plastic ring gear, and supposedly that just torn to everything and whatnot. So now I need a new flywheel. Flywheel's good, but if I could just find the ring gear and put it on myself, then I'll just do it. Save myself some money. But yeah, let's get into starting this thing up. As you know, we need the, or as you probably know, by that pulley there on the top. Also this too. I do highly recommend adding this just in case your starter fails, because these starters are notorious for failing. But anyways, let me set up the camera and let's get into starting this wonderful thing. Choke just because. Oh no. Fail. Alright, so after some very sketchy fixing of my pull cord, still got a bit of life left in her. There she is. And sorry, but I didn't drill the pulley center, so that's why it looks like it's going like that. Yeah, this is... I really need to come up with a name. Like, I don't want to go Big Red, because you know that sounds basic, but you know, come with a name for this thing, right? She is a unit. But anyways, I'll let her warm up for a minute, and then do a little bit of riding.
Alright, so there isn't much for trail riding and riding around where I live. So we're gonna hit the trail a little bit later, but I kind of in this ditch, there's a puddle here, so I kind of started creating a mud pit. Hopefully the mud isn't drying up yet, but we're just gonna go head down this ditch here and see what it's like, and if it's good, then we'll run through it a couple times. If not, then we'll just kind of make our way to the trail and go from there.
Alright, so we're in our lower gear here, and I'm going to show you guys a trick downhill. Put my knee on the thing here. Brake. I need to go down more. You don't want to mess with your transaxle that much. Go at an angle, point your steering up. Now, basically I just throw it right in the neutral. Turn the tires. Give it a shake. And down we go. I just, I like to go, dang. Alright, so this is where a guy started making his mud pit. I'll explore a little bit. Yeah, she's all dried up. Oh, a little bit. Oh. This part I probably should hold my phone for, but let's see if we can make it down. Yeah, and then there's another part, but I don't want to hold my phone for that. I did that. But yeah, let's just go take a gander down to the trail. There's nothing here. Alright, so we're here in the bush trail. Here, I'm also going to state this, unless it's a public trail, I won't state where it is, just for the privacy of the landowner, and it's just not my thing. To be honest, I can't really say the town people, the town I live in, everyone uses this trail, and I don't think they would really appreciate it if everyone from around would come and join it. But if you look over there on the other side there is our friends from the United States, North Dakota. I think that's North Dakota. But yeah, so let's get into some trail riding. Sorry, trail riding will get better as we go. Maybe if I can find somewhere I can set the camera up, then we will. But let's get some action. This is just a trail, nothing too spectacular, but it's a good place to ride. Just gonna go slow, just you guys can kind of just watch and see from my point of view, I guess, as best as I can do, I guess. Have done that here. I wiped down at this curve, one time. Should have paid attention to that. That's another thing that's really wrong with this trail.
It hasn't been really groomed for, yeah. Maybe one day I'll come down here and I'll groom her a little bit better. But that's back end. She wants to swing out. Like, I give her the beans even a little bit. She'll swing. Oh, oh yeah. Yeah, that's pretty much it for that trail. And there's one that just kind of goes up and then down and then around and back and then up and down and whatever. That one's a little bit harder to do with the phone. I mean, this one's really hard to just, the berms go up and they're tight and they go down. It's, yeah, she's a problem. Oh yeah. She definitely needs a muffler. I think that's it probably for today's video. Again, there wasn't really much building, but you know, kind of wanted to show you guys that the project does run, it drives, it does what I needed to do. I'm not gonna lie, I can take that trail 3rd, 4th gear on the rev limiter pretty much. She'll fight, no problem. As long as you watch out for the roots, and she'll go. What I am going to come actually, and maybe later take out those roots and just kind of groom up the trail a bit, because it's a good trail. Just so you know, if it was kind of smoother, it'd be better for the lawnmower, especially because, you know, we don't want to be bending and breaking stuff. So yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed today's video. I know it wasn't as exciting, but kind of just trying to get into the rhythm of everything and whatnot. But yeah, hope you guys like this video. Catch you guys in the next one. As I think I mentioned lights. Yeah, we'll be doing lights and paneling and whatnot. So yeah, catch me in the next video. Hopefully you guys enjoyed.